All right. Hello. Welcome everyone to I believe this is the third round of the Simufur Multi-Class Madness series. We are here in Silverstone, but at the moment we are facing technical issues, so there's not going to be much at the moment. Anyways, I am here. I am Suzuka Shark. You probably have been seeing me racing the last few rounds. I decided to just hop onto the commentary box instead because that M2 was quite hectic. And alongside me is just in time. Hello, Plasma.
Oh, Plasma, you made it.
Oh,
Hello, Plasma. Welcome.
morning, afternoon.
Yes, so we are currently awaiting the main servers to come online with the multi-class madness here round 3 at Silverstone. So unfortunately, we don't have anything to go down to yet. And you can take a look at the beautiful photos within Assetto Corsa Competizione as we await the server to come online. I'm Paliku'i Grant, joined by what you heard the introduction from Suzuka Shark, and of course Plasma just joining us. How you been, Plasma? I haven't seen you until just now.
Oh, well, when am I never busy? It's always something going on, so
That's
I
all.
think that's the easiest thing. There's two things guaranteed: taxes and me being busy.
Well, especially with everything going on, you've been quite a busy professional racing driver, as far as I heard as of recent.
Yeah, a little bit. Went down to Atlanta for Racing Prodigy, and then came back and raced in the 24 hours of Nürburgring on iRacing. So it's been back and forth quite a bit. We have quite a few things coming up with that, and then I think we actually have a little bit of a draft coming up next month on the 6th, as I believe that is.
Nice. Well,
That is
glad.
absolutely interesting. I've,
well,
I've had quite a busy day myself as well. I had to race the RCI 24 hours of the Red Bull Ring. I had to stream a game which is called Indigo Park. So it's been a busy day in the weekend, unusually busy.
It has certainly been quite a bit.
and I'm
Looking,
receiving word that the server has restarted, and it has restarted, unfortunately, not as it should be. So they are still working out the kinks on the back end. I'll keep you guys informed as soon as we're able to race. So in the meantime, for myself, I've been basically getting ready for another Rickmel World Challenge race coming up tomorrow, as a matter of fact, and I got another practice session coming up this evening, right after this broadcast. So we've all been seemingly running our wheels all over the place.
yeah, just a little bit. I mean, I'm coming out of 24 hours Le Mans last night, and then I'm immediately going into, what is it, 6 hour Watkins? That's what
I
we have
think,
coming up.
I think it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think I'm racing there too. Speaking of sims outside of ACC, it's in iRacing actually. This 6 hours of Glen, I'll be taking the brand new Chevrolet Corvette Z06 GT3 there alongside Vex in probably next week in Watkins Glen. So it's going to be interesting to see how the new cars handle in the GT3 class for iRacing.
Yeah, quite a different curve between those two cars. I know a lot of people struggle going through the braking technique from iRacing to ACC, so it'll definitely be a little bit of a challenge for you to kind of change things up.
Hey, Plasma, have you tried out the new Mustang or Corvette GT3 yet in iRacing? They just released those, as a matter of fact, a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, I've put a little bit of time in both, but much to Suzuka's lament, the Mustang is definitely my favorite of the two by far, and probably enjoy the Mustang overall over most of the GT3s.
Really, it's that good. How's it feel when going through the circuit on it?
I say it's purely based off of feeling on that one.
Right.
The rear end's quite light, and I do like that. I like a car that is just very ready to just dive into the corner, and it's pretty tricky on throttle. You can very easily spin up the rears, but I think it is quite a fun car to learn from what I have put the time into it.
Nice. And Suzuka, have you tried out the Mustang in Assetto Corsa Competizione yet?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't buy the Mustang in iRacing, but it comes free in ACC. So obviously I got the chance to drive it, and feels interesting. That's for sure. It's a fun car. Well, I don't do ACC as much often lately, but I'd say the Mustang would be my favorite as of the moment.
Nice. Yeah, myself, I haven't really actually gotten to try any of the new cars yet, so I'm excited to actually see how they're like, and I'm hearing good things for the Mustang, so I may have to hop in there later. I mean, I've heard the sound. The sound's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's quite a nice sounding car, that's for certain. I had to drive past one every once in a while when I was running the 24 hours Le Mans. There was one, and there was also one Corvette. They didn't make it very long. They got taken out pretty quick. But
Ooh.
when you did go past them, you knew.
Ooh, that. Yeah, but meanwhile, I mean, we're still awaiting word for the server to come online. At this point, I believe they're just trying to spin up the race server, as the issue that they're having is they keep going back to the practice server. So they haven't called off anything yet. We're just waiting for the actual server to get online. And then as soon as it gets online, we'll be able to get in there, and then finally we'll get to see some cars driving on this wonderful and historic Silverstone circuit.
Absolutely, a very legendary, very beautiful circuit. I just hope that the multi-class racing will be as spectacular. I mean, multi-class madness has had a reputation of being such a chaotic race. I can tell from my own perspective in the M2CS, which I don't enjoy driving. I have gone on to say that these cars have brakes that are made of craft singles. I swear, these cars.
Well, judging by what we've seen for the past two races, I mean, I don't think either myself nor Plasma has ever been able to catch their breath ever since the race started. I mean, I believe you almost passed out a couple of times, Plasma, calling some of these races.
It feels like it. You definitely use all of your lung capacity, that's for certain. And with everything that's going on, you don't really have a chance to breathe. So, just go until you fall over. Why not?
Thankfully, you have a third commentator as of the moment because you guys need the lung space.
Yeah, maybe we'll finally be able to breathe, Plasma, huh?
I don't think things will change too much.
So, taking a look right now, I don't have a graphic up specifically for it, but we're just going to go over right now the current standings of the championship. We'll start off with our AMs. Right now, with basically a 2-point advantage, Oily Rags is leading the AM category right now with 41 points. Then Sarah right behind with 39. It's a close, tight race right up there, and the AMs are the ones that are driving the fastest GT3 cars, so they're not holding back. And of course, Electroshock right after with 36 points, and so that gives the top three a margin of just 5 points. That's very tight given the amount of racing that's done on here. We go to the next category with our silvers in GT4. Right now, Zsource is leading that championship right now with 48 points. Araz right behind in second place with 44. A 4-point difference between first and second. And then right behind Sauce Dragon with 42. So, close battles all the way around. And then, of course, there's no heated battle quite like Pro right now. And I'll tell you guys this. The difference between first and third right now is 2 points. Simon Luck 31 leading the championship right now with 44 points in the pro class, followed by Grim Lilith with 43 in second, and Werschel with 42. So it's still anyone's game right now, leading to right now is the halfway point of the championship, and this race is critical. When we get to it, for these drivers to really try and push ahead or try and take the lead themselves. What do you think the battles are going to be like looking at today at this long circuit?
Well, honestly, from what I've been seeing, I'd say that the pros will be as close as ever for sure because we've had some great racing in the pro class with these guys muscling the M2s around the various circuits. Silver, I'd say it's an interesting batch. Like, you got some of the quicker ones, and yeah, Silver class, very interesting field. Like, it's interesting to see. Yeah. Anyways, for the Pro, the GT3s, of course, we have Oily Rags, who is absolutely quick out there, absolutely blitzing the field with Sarah trailing behind. Unfortunately, Sarah will not be taking part of this race as she has taken the 24 hours of the Red Bull Ring alongside me and is definitely taking that well-deserved break.
Now, who needs breaks? 24-hour races? I mean, they're made to have no breaks, right? That's where you got to come in and oversleep on your responsibilities, right?
uh,
All right, I am getting word that the server is now live. We're going to join in shortly on, I believe, Azure. There are people still joining, and the server's freezing, but it's holding up, so here we go. There we are. We are finally
Here we
live at
go.
Silverstone, and as we follow along, now we're looking at Azure Goat taking their M4 across the circuit, and oh, finally we get to see what these drivers can do in this tight race. We're expecting, I think, mostly, well, it is Silverstone, so it's going to be overcast for the majority of the race. But as we can see here, we have about, I think, 29 drivers out at the moment, so hopefully we're going to get some good racing.
Absolutely overcast as usual. Lovely, jubbly British weather. Anyways, we do have Silverstone, in contrast to Indianapolis, is a considerably wide track and clearly a much more flowy track. So I'd say that our drivers will have a much easier time navigating the circuit.
Silverstone, typically a pretty tricky track. A lot of the lines end up being one line, so I think you're going to see our usual multi-class madness coming through here.
Oh, for sure.
If you had to ask me a little bit, that's for certain.
At least for the majority of the circuit, it is nice and wide, almost sharing the same characteristics as Indianapolis. And at least here, it's a dedicated road course. We don't have to worry about getting on the old brickyard, going up on turns. I believe that was what actually no, that'd be the straight between turns 1 and 2. That's right, I keep forgetting it goes counterclockwise when you run the circuit. So I believe they're practicing right now safety cars, or a virtual safety car, which is why everyone is slowed.
Based on what I've seen in the logs, currently they are practicing the code.
And it appears I'm having slight technical difficulties myself. We've just lost our other fellow commentators, but I'm going to keep it here for you guys while we continue on. Give me just a moment.
I'm still on?
Yes, we are back. I apologize for that. We had a couple of technical difficulties myself, but thankfully we are all back now, and they are getting underway.
As I was saying, they were just practicing the Code 50, which is the virtual safety car where they have to slow down at 50 kilometers an hour, or the pit speed limiter. Anyways, we have the drivers coming out. You got a nice field racing around, just keeping it clean. I guess, as you see, Blade Wolf, I assume that's coming off Magus and Beckett's. Yes, that's coming off of Magus and Beckett's, who has the Mercedes of who I believe that is Sosh Dragon, I believe. And now we head over to Camus, one of the front-running AM drivers. I almost said pro. I'm just used to seeing pros in the front, but our front-running AM driver in the Lamborghini Huracan.
So as you can see right now, I mean, everyone is still really just getting to grips here. They're going to be running through some technical things, and this is just practice, the session before the actual qualifying when it will begin. Qualifying will be split up between the 3 groups, if I'm not mistaken. The AMs are going to be, I believe, last. Plasma, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yep, so we will be running everything from slowest to fastest, which means that the pros will go out first in the M2s, the mediums, the middle ground for our drivers, the GT4s will be run by the silvers immediately after, followed up very quickly by the GT3s, who will be battling for that overall pole position.
Speaking of times, there is Kamirs who has set the benchmark time. The only one to have set the time at the moment, but considering the code 50, that's a slow lap and not their true pace.
No, and then all of these times will be reset anyway before qualifying. We're really just seeing what everyone is doing right now. So we're gonna just go ahead and take a look. I mean, you can see already that was Weiss we were following. They're gonna be dealing with lapped traffic. I believe that's coming through. Oh, and is that Denak right in front? Either that or Vossi.
That seems like Denak. Based on the radar, that is Denak on my radar.
And
anyways,
they're gonna be
that
pulling
is
into the
Weiss
pits.
coming into the pits. Silverstone with that sketchy pit lane. That is just scary to slow down to. Like, the pit board just suddenly comes at you. Boom, you have to slam the brakes. Hopefully you don't overspeed. As we see a new lap time from Electroshocks at 2:01. I think that is a running lap, but it's still practice. So these may not be representative of what we'll see in qualifying and race, but so far Electro is one of the quick guys out there.
As you can see, I mean, we're riding with, I believe, currently, that is Electroshocks. You just already see, there's the difference in traffic right there in the M4. I think they were going through...
Oh, that is Dirk!
Oh!
Oh, no!
Well, I mean, thankfully it's practice. So Dirk went off real badly there. Probably went a little too wide and went into the wall. And Plasma, your experience on this circuit, given its technical nature, while there may be a lot of traffic here, do you think drivers are going to at least demonstrate some patience, as there's a lot of good straights you can easily overtake at here?
Unfortunately, I think we're going to live up to our multi-class madness mantra right now. There's a lot of straights, but there's a lot of technical sectors that go up and are going to really cause a lot of chaos. I mean, you think of Abbey into the village section, you're going to see a little bit of kind of battling through there. You end up washing out and taking up multiple lines, and it causes all sorts of issues if you're trying to have some kind of battle. So not to mention, of course, Maggots and Beckett's is another big one. So it's very, very easy to get caught up in a section that it's hard to overtake in. If, of course, you have the long straights, but those are never going to come up at the right time. They never do when you're in a multi-class situation. It's always a case of, I hope I get them there, but you never do. You're always going to get them right in the corner exit, and it's going to just be the most inconvenient time possible.
Yeah, and as you saw, dipping sauce through, I believe that would be Brooklands and Woodcut, just really tapping the Mercedes GT4. I don't know who that was. I believe that is Zezor's, but you can really see the difference between how the cars handle in turns and basically the top speed of each class. I mean, the GT3s with the highest top speed, of course, GT4s in the middle, and TCX smack that in the back. But the grip of GT4 and TCX almost similar in the low speeds, at least.
I mean, given how what we've seen speed difference so far, this is probably going to emphasize it quite a bit, given that there are quite a number of high-speed straights that come into here. I mean, you got the Hamilton straight that goes over the start-finish line. That one's not as prevalent, but then, of course, you have the Hanger straights right after Maggots, Beckett's, and the Chapel Curve. I mean, that's going to really emphasize the difference of speeds in these cars. Plus, after Luffield going to Woodcut and up into Cops, I mean, that's going to be more how the cars can handle with their downforce, going through that little turn there, and then, of course, the straight going into Cops. You're going to see most likely some overtakes happening over there. It's going to be interesting to see because, as we know, the GT4s that the silver drivers are, they're going to have to probably manage the most, as you have the fast GT3 drivers that are going to be coming up on almost every straight at this point, and then they're going to be managing the M4 traffic with the pros that have really good lines, as we see Zizor's kind of cutting that quite a bit as practice is now concluded here. We're going to see, we're just going to hop on board with Orly Rags here, currently leading the AM Championship. But we're going to be getting ready after everything goes down here. And he just, I think he just decides to hang that wide. Yeah, pulling off there.
But at the end, it is Camiers on top of this practice session. And looking at the chat, there are lots of Camiers fans. Show yourselves, fans of the number 97 Lamborghini.
As a matter of fact, I think that's one of the few Lamborghinis we have on this circuit. Not sure if we have any others.
Yeah, it looks like as of the moment, Camier is the only Lamborghini, and using that Lambo to his advantage. It's pretty rapid, but Camier is a pretty rapid driver in general as well.
Yeah, I mean, of course we go around the grid. We also have Snowdog out there too in the bright green Maniti Porsche. I almost called it a Lamborghini because we were just talking about it. And a little bit of a trip up over myself, but Snowdog's proven to be quite competitive in this championship, so really going to be a car to watch once we move over to qualifying, getting those final kind of cider laps in as we move into Brooklands here, sweeping into the left-hander. Getting that car tucked in. The Porsche loves this section of track, just using the momentum, swinging the car around. You're going to bring the car straight and get that throttle down very, very early. Looks like Snow is able to get it through. And are we going to be running into the pits, or are we going to finish this lap? We're going to finish this lap, bank it, and that's going to close out to be a 2:01.9. So Snowdog looking to be very competitive as usual as we get ready to shift on over to qualifying. As just a reminder, the pros are going to be rolling out first in their BMW M2s, and they have only 10 minutes. So very, very little time to get out on a long track like this. M2 drivers probably are only going to see 2, maybe 3 flying laps as they work around the full Grand Prix circuit of Silverstone here. And it's going to really prove to be quite the challenge. I think they're going to see quite a mixed up order here.
We will get to the action just shortly. We are experiencing a little bit more technical difficulties. That seems to be plaguing today's broadcast. But give us just a moment. We'll get you right into the action and qualifying, as right now all the drivers are just pulling up right now, getting their laps started, driving out. And so give us just a moment. We'll get you right back into the action. And here we go. We're gonna
Here we go.
We're going to be watching Azure Goat as they come out right now. Looks like they're going through...
I believe that is, before Hamilton Straight, that is Club Chicane, is it?
Ah, yes. They're going to be starting their laps now.
No, we are not using the Hamilton Straight as the start-finish line. ACC.
Oh, that's right. They used from Woodcott, I believe.
Yeah, Woodcut. Coming off Woodcut into Cops, that's the straight we use in ACC. A lot of you may be unfamiliar with it, but Silverstone, two main straights to choose from. You can either use the Hamilton straight or that straight. In this case, ACC is using the Woodcut straight, and as Azure Goat comes onto, I believe that is exiting Aintree in the Wellington straight into Brooklands and Luffield, and these and without further ado, these pros are ready to set a qualifying lap. So I believe we will get on board with Azure Goat as he starts the flying laps of our race.
Yeah, we're going to roll on down the main straight here. So we're running through Woodcourt, as you guys were talking about. We're using the non-F1 pitch straight. We're going to be revving up this M2 all the ways down into Cops. Hard on the brakes a little bit before the 50 and tip it in. A lot of understeer coming from the M2. Not enjoying the high-speed corners. Well, running now straight to the legendary section of the Maggots Beckett's. It's quick left, throw it into the right, swing the car, and now you have to shift the weight all the ways back to the left, bring it into the apex, and set up the final run onto the hangar straight here. But get early on power, use all of that runoff on the exit there, and straighten up the car. And now you're just gonna wait take a look at the bridge, wave to the crowd, because the M2 is going to take a long time on this straight. And then we'll roll up hard on the brakes for Stowe, a little bit before the curb there on the left, into the apex and through the corner. Again, let the car run out wide nice and early, use all the runoff, but that's all you can get. Right tires on that curb, braking about the start of the curb again. Once again, tip it in. You can take a tiny bit of curb, but it's a little bit too much, a little bit of oversteer as you roll it through, trying to just carry as much momentum as possible. The slowest speed of the track, minus the turn 3 section. We roll through 1 into Abbey here. Typically you're Formula 1 turn 1, and it's a very hard corner in these GT3 cars. It's almost just past a lift. And we go hard on the brakes, barely can get the car over to the side in time. Hook it over, open up this corner, no reference marker, so you're braking completely by feel for this final hairpin, and drive it out as we make the run down towards Brooklands. Once again, another bridge. Spectators truly going to be hanging out, and give them another wave because you're stuck on this straight for quite a while. As we roll through, you're going to be braking around this board here on the right, tuck the car in forever waiting to get that car turned in. That apex is as late as you can get it through that corner and through the final hairpin, setting up the straightaway, and that's going to be a lap of Silverstone. But with 25 minutes left in qualifying, that means it took 5 minutes for these drivers to get their first lap. We're looking at probably only getting 3 flying laps for most of our pro drivers.
Yeah, that's gonna be the
absolutely
key. Absolutely.
Yeah, but as I was about to say, as you're with the provisional pole, it is now Simon Luck with the provisional pole at 2:16.5 with RK a tenth behind. So it's already a considerably close field as of the moment. Let's see how these pros will improve.
And one of the things to keep in mind too is that the longer the track, normally what we would see is a bigger difference in times based on styles, based on how the drivers put their cars on the track, but not so if we take a look at the top 5. All of them right now are within a second of each other. A 2:16.577 for Simon Luck here, currently leading, and on 5th place Azure, which we rode along with, a 2:17.525. So given the length of the track and how long it takes to get around, these drivers are pretty consistent and really competitive against each other. It's going to be exciting to see how that plays out, not only at the end of this qualifying, but when we start the race.
Oh, absolutely. These M2s clearly taking much longer to navigate this Silverstone circuit, but that's not stopping them. That's not going to stop the pros from having what could be epic battles in the race, because Silverstone, a track that is well known to create really spicy fighting for really great racing.
When we take a look right now, we're going back with Azure Goat here. He is right now pushing, I believe, a better lap. Not quite the full 60 seconds, but he's up 5/10 right now. And coming through, I believe, the last section of the corner right after Wellington Straight and Brooklands. I think he's in Luffield now, going to Woodcut.
Luffield. Yeah, as you're coming out of Luffield into Woodcut, and of course the M2s start on colder tires than the GT3. So the more these guys run, the faster these laps are gonna get. And what will Azure get? None. Azure does not improve, but here comes RK coming down into the straight. What can RK do? Going down the inside of Woodcut. Simon with the new provisional pole, and RK steals pole by 1/10, by 0.175. RK has stolen pole from Simon Luck.
Yeah, that was he was up 3/10 coming into that last sector, and that's what was needed right now, because he was only I believe a few hundredths off of Simon Luck when he was coming into that last sector there. So the 3/10 is going to be enough. I mean, Azure did make an improvement. I think he was down to 6th place, went up a couple positions into 4th, so improved his time from a 2:17.5 to a 2:17.1. But of course, that's still a second away from RK's time, which is a 2:16.2. But I mean, given that we're now down to 22 minutes left, Plasma, do you think there's just one more lap for these guys?
Looking at the times, I think for the majority of them, yes. I did see a couple cars get pretty close to the timer. I think we might get 2 for some of these drivers, but I don't think we're going to be seeing a crazy amount of 2-lap runs. And of course, we're going to see a couple cars, it looks like, sitting nose to tail that might be fighting each other for track position. So they might effectively only get 1 if they end up not being able to sort that out or kind of accepting where they want to be on track. Very, very interesting knowing the M2s, though. It always is very interesting as we roll through the Vale Chicane. Wushel putting together the corners quite nicely. He's just looking at an improvement of about a 10th right now, trying to get through the second half of this circuit. But yeah, the M2s, as usual, proving to be their usual handful, maybe in the opposite way most people would expect, quite understeering and having to wait a lot on getting the car around the track. But the gap right now sitting at just under 2/10 for pole, but we are also seeing a lot of improvements that are going to be bringing people much, much closer to that pole position battle. Looking at Nude and Christian Clip, there's 2 drivers who are on massive, massive improvements right now through the start of their lap. Nude actually just going through and improving into P6 as well as we roll through the rest of the grid. Wushel currently just tipping the car in, the fastest driver so far that is improving, rolling through a little bit of oversteer, but keeps the momentum in the M2. It's not a bad thing to get these cars sliding, but very, very deep into left field. That might cost her quite a bit, and it looks like that was a little bit of mistake, cost a lot of momentum, that may have cost her the time. She will get another lap, though, with 10 seconds remaining, so now all these drivers entering their final laps. I don't think anyone else is going to make it back in time. So we'll just be Wushel in the cars ahead of her, just trying to finish out this qualifying with 1 more shot.
Yeah, you're right, Plasma, that Vig is the last driver out to set a valid qualifying time. Meanwhile, at the moment, Denax pulled over. Denax probably conceded, but Simon Luck still on a rush. As I was saying, the Silvers are out on their outlap, and look at the pace of those Silvers. They're just right behind the M2s, who are still on their final qualifying lap. So probably, I just hope these GT4s take it easy on their outlap, because they are about to merge into the M2s, but I think everyone's doing it just fine. Meanwhile, we have Wushel down the club chicane coming out of Hamilton Straight. These will be the last laps for the M2. Can anyone here steal pole position from RK, or will it be RK with a pole position? But as we look at Simon Luck coming into, I believe that is the Wellington Straight, that is Simon Luck coming into Brooklands, coming into Lovefield. Simon Luck, can he steal pole position from RK? He's just sliding a bit on Brooklands, coming out of Lovefield, putting the power down. Simon Luck getting as wide as he can, getting that S-Cargo BMW on the limit. Will it be pole position for Simon Luck, or will it be pole for RK? What will it be? No improvement. Simon Luck still behind RK, and unfortunately that is not pole position for the number 31 M2. As we head over to Wushel, coming over, I believe she's just exited Lovefield. Oh no! That is 2:36 ahead. Clipper probably invalidated a lap time, but Wushel on the limit of that corner. It's easy to get track limits. That is P5 for Wushel. Meanwhile,
unfortunately, I don't think any other of the silver drivers are out now, so then we're going to head over to the silver drivers right now, as I believe, let's see, Sauce Dragon is coming to the start-finish. There it is. So Sauce Dragon now on a timed lap, I think, along with Zezors, which is just
Zezors
ahead. So Zezors is currently on a timed lap, and now all of the previous class of the pros are now finished in their qualifying. So officially at the moment, Arcade does have pole position in the pro class.
Absolutely, RK on pole. Simon right behind in the front row, and Danak finalizes the top 3 of the pro class. Meanwhile, Sosh and Zezors, the first 2, the Ridge Racers Project Mercedes out leading the field into setting a qualifying time. As we see Zezors coming out of, I believe that was Stowe, coming into the club chicane hard on the brakes. Taking that curve, jumping a little bit. Be careful there, Zezors, as they exit the Hamilton straight. Now
So
these GT4, yep.
So coming through, I mean, as we see right now, they're flying their laps. Still got a little bit of ways to go, just passing the halfway mark. And going to you, Plasma, especially here, what's the difference, especially when it's open qualifying in class sectors? What's your mindset when you're going through qualifying here in this type of event?
It's really just kind of put it all out and just kind of see what you can get. To be completely honest, qualifying is probably the simplest mindset outside of just making sure you have enough space. Of course, our rules don't permit overtaking in qualifying here, so we make it an obligation for drivers to make space on their own. But outside of that, it's really just push the car as hard as you can. I'm probably maybe a bad habit, but I do watch my Delta quite a bit in qualifying, seeing where I know there's more time. So when I do finally come around to it, I can attempt to, just push a little bit harder in one corner and another, knowing if there's a little bit more time. And just really setting up that final lap, because that final lap is when you really start getting comfortable with the car, finally put everything together, know where you can push a little bit harder, a little bit less, and just kind of set things together. It's just looking for those gradual improvements every single time. Of course, that first lap's never going to be perfect, so put in the best lap that you can and just improve each lap from there.
Yep, and as we see, Zazor's coming in right now with a 2:10.995, pretty much quite ahead of the field, as almost 4/10 is Sauce Dragon right behind with a 2:11.395. And so as we have them all hitting their first hot laps, they're on to the next one as we continue to pull along with Zazors. And coming back to you qualifying and just going through, especially at a long track here in Silverstone, I mean, it must tax the focus of going lap after lap, trying to, do 10/10ths in the car every time. What do you do anything different to sort of maybe relax a little bit so that you don't push too hard, or do you just go for every single flying lap in qualifying?
No, in qualifying, really just gotta go. Just to be completely honest.
I'd agree. Like, just push and just get yourself closer to that limit, and generally that's how I see qualifying. Just sending the car into the corner, hoping it sticks, and hoping you get the fastest lap out of the rest of your category, in this case.
And as we can see here, everyone right now is up an improvement. The Sauce Dragons, even on their time right now, I mean, I think the biggest one right now, F-Spirit's up a 1.5 seconds, right up there with Skylar. So track conditions can be improving. Right now, it's between Araz and Zizors. Looking at the Delta times, they're going back and forth as to who can potentially set the fastest lap. Of course, they're going to have to make sure that they don't invalidate, although Zizors right now on an improvement, coming around the last corner in Woodcott, and does improve with a 2:10.647. However, if we look at Araz almost up a second. If they can continue this pace coming through the final corners in that Ginetta, again, coming through Woodcott, they might have pole as they cross the line, and indeed, Araz does get provisional pole as on a 2:10.480, so Araz responding to Zizors' really impressive time by setting an impressive time of their own.
Absolutely, Araz, a familiar face, the Ginetta, a familiar face in the Ginetta. That is, I believe, Araz's favorite go-to GT4 car, and he's using that to his advantage already from the get-go with that qualifying lap.
And we have only 2 minutes remaining too, so looking like most of these drivers will get one more lap after the lap they're on currently. So 2 to go. Orez is already taking another step up with an improvement, but Dragon immediately trying to put some pressure on getting an improvement of their own. So definitely not over till it's over. We have quite a few drivers that are improving once again. These GT4s, of course, their tires aren't coming out of the pits warm. So on top of the fact that you're building yourself up speed-wise and trying to finally get that perfect lap, you're also looking at your car needs to be built up. It needs to get up to speed on its own. So it's looking like our GT4s are starting to hit those peak times as there's quite a bit of green on their delta bars and rolling through into turn, well, what would normally be turn 3 in the F1 layout. Oh, is Morris goes
That's
very,
under
very deep,
wide.
going through into the village section. That was an improvement of about 2-3 tenths for us, but unfortunately that lap will not be allowed by the sim. And then rolling through, we actually had an improvement too for Zers by about 4 tenths, but they've also invalidated. Cohen now is trying to bring that Maserati around. Not an improvement for them so far, but we're going to roll through with one more lap. 1 minute and about 10 seconds for change. Blade Wolf now swinging the cart through Luffield down to Woodcourt, who is looking like he has an improvement, but is it going to be enough for pole position? Looks like a poor exit coming out of Luffield, maybe not carrying the momentum that they wanted
Oh,
to. It
that
will
is
be an improvement, though,
P3.
into P3.
Absolutely, Blade Wolf currently splitting the two Ridge Racer Project Mercedes cars. Meanwhile, I think that is, if I'm right, that is either Zers or Cohen. That is Cohen. Cohen's just recently set a lap time. It's an improvement, but unfortunately not a position up.
Yeah.
As we see RS coming off of, I believe that is Magnussen Beckett's going into what straight?
And
The
while
hangar straight.
While we
Yep.
take a look, unfortunately, we had one of our silver drivers, I think, have an incident. And they are out of the qualifying session. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that real quick. I believe it was Leparcho.
Oh, that is the KTM of Leparcho coming into, I believe that is Luffield.
I'm not sure if they had an invalidation or just gave up their lap. Oh,
Oh, that is too
yeah.
wide. No.
Yeah, and they
No.
invalidated their lap, and then that was the end of the qualifying session for them.
Absolutely, that corner you want to pin the throttle right on time. If you do it too early, you go wide into the grass. If you do it too late, that will be lots of time lost. So Luffield is one of the tricky corners that will make or break your lap time here in Silverstone.
We saw RS go wide there just a lap ago. I think learning from their mistake as they come around now. I believe down to, I believe that's the Wellington Straight.
That is indeed the Wellington Straight. Well, speaking of straights, Ginettas are unfortunately not the best when it comes to straight line speed, but the car really makes up in those corners, and RS using that Ginettas cornering to his advantage, guiding the Ginetta around Brooklands and Luffield, exiting. Oh, that is too wide, unlike Parcho. Unfortunately, that is an invalid lap time for RS.
Now we head over to Cohen now, almost up for a second. It's not going to do a difference position-wise, but it's going to at least improve their time as they come around. Everyone else is either invalidated or pull in, so they will be the last one to set a time before we finally move on to the GT3 AM class that's going to be coming up. That's already taken the circuit. So Cohen right now, I believe, coming up right now to the start finish. And yes, indeed, improved from a 2:15.5 to a 2:14.4. So not bad, Cohen. And they're going to get ready for the race as we now switch over to the pro class. I mean, the AM class, excuse me.
Here we go. Here we go. Anyways, here we go. The GT3s. This is the cars you've been waiting for. This is the quote-unquote Viper Mercedes of Zephyr coming across to start off everyone's qualifying lap times. And speaking of the GT3s, can I see the Camir's fan club hype in chat? They're popping off right now, but as of the moment, I'd say Zephyr right into Magnussen Beckett's just keep trying to set the lap. Hopefully, it might be provisional pole for the Mercedes, but you don't know who's gonna steal it.
So Plasma, how are you liking the Mercedes Viper?
I still think this thing's cursed. 100%. Give me the real Viper, please, Kunos. I would absolutely love that, even though I know it didn't race in time. Give it to me, please. I want the Viper back.
I would love to see a Viper in ACC. That'd be great.
Absolutely, a V10 on the front, very powerful, very beautiful sound. That would just be a dream for sure. But it's an old car, unfortunately, and I'm not sure if ACC are looking to the older cars, but if they are, I'd say the Viper's under the radar.
So these are the last laps that they're going to be pulling through here. I mean, I think this is their hot lap now, and we only have 6 minutes left in qualifying, so they're going to have maybe not even. They're going to have at least 3. I'm not sure if they're going to get a 4th one in. But it's tight. You don't have much margin for error in these qualifying sessions, especially that you only get a few laps. I mean, I know of other leagues that also just, you get 2 laps and that's it. So at least they get some room, but it's not much, especially in a circuit that's pretty long. So we see Zephyr now setting a 2.24, and Weiss right behind with a 2.01.4, so pretty much exactly a second ahead.
Absolutely, Silverstone a very long circuit, so it's gonna be less laps to make the perfect pole position lap. As you see, Weiss was lining up Maggots and Maggots. Oh my goodness, I thought that was a close one from Weiss. Oh my goodness.
and manages to keep the time up. He's up 3/10 from his last lap for that, and manages to hold on, not even invalidate the lap. So if he can bring this around, it would be another improvement. But I mean, as we take a look around the field right now, it looks like whoever has set a lap is currently looking like they are improving. Aside from, I believe that is
Oily Rags has stolen pole.
Yes, the current leader of our AM Class Championship. It's not a surprise, but I mean, Weiss now on a 1 full second improvement. I mean, we're gonna see these times drop, definitely.
Absolutely. And speaking of times dropping, Weiss 1.1 second. Weiss is absolutely wrestling that BMW to its limit. They are the biggest gainer as of the moment. 1.2 seconds. Coming off of, I believe that is the loop and exiting entry into the Wellington Straight.
Yeah, he's got a couple more corners to go, but he's got to keep it in line. He cannot invalidate the lap, especially when you have this major of an improvement. If I was looking at my Delta, I would probably even sacrifice a little bit, as I think Weiss did in the entry of Luffield there. I mean, through Brooklands into Luffield and going to Woodcott. This is it. This is the last corner. So keeps it in there, keeps it valid. There it goes, going through Woodcott. And let's see where Weiss hits. It's going to be a second improvement. It's going to be a 2-minute .267 lap. That's really impressive. Now Oily Rags and Zephyr are going to have to respond.
That is absolutely a slam dunk pole for Weiss. 8/10 off of Zephyr. That is a huge margin. Let's see if anyone can compete with that.
I mean, Oily Rags right now up, looks like 7/10 coming into, I think that is the Wellington Straight leading up to Brooklands. But not quite enough to get to a 2-second .2 time, but it's definitely going to improvement, possibly going to improve further going on. I mean, Plasma, you can see it clearly here. I mean, the difference is stark between the first and the second lap. It's quite incredible to see a full second improvement just on most likely tire temperature alone.
Possibly a little bit of tire temperature, but I think Weiss has just really clicked with that BMW today. Maybe looking at a shades of GT3 Season 3. Possibly need to bop the BMW. A little bit of 20-30 kilograms on that car. But no, I think Weiss has really just gotten up to speed with that car really, really quickly. Put it in a really nice window that if you're able to really get the car set up in a good window, it's very, very easy to put a very, very strong lap together here. Just because it's so long and that window is so important for the car. But I mean, it looks like Oily Rag's sitting about a tenth adrift, looking like they're able to challenge for the final lap. But both drivers on an invalid lap, so we're just looking further down the grid to see who's improving. Swingley right ahead of us, ahead by about 4/10 so far, and looking to improve a little bit more. That Porsche, as we talked about, heading into this final sector, loves this sector. Very, very well balanced, so we could see a lot of commitment coming in from the 279 as we're hard on the brakes right around that board, swing the car in very late apex, tucked in over that green curve, a little bit wide, but carrying the momentum well into left field. It looks like we have a BMW going wide, just stepping out of the way a little bit onto the dirt, and a very big smack coming from swinging on the power. That will cost them quite a bit of time, and actually believe, yes, that's going to cost them all of their improvement. So actually losing that lap is Swingley and actually hurting their final lap rolling into this cop section. They're going to see Swingley trying to chase down, but Camiers is actually going to jump up to the front of the leaderboard with a massive 1 second improvement on everyone else. They're set. You were talking about a big gap for Weiss. Well, Camiers just set an 8/10 improvement, or a 1 second improvement to step 8/10 in front of the rest of the field.
Wow, that was an incredible lap. That was a 1:59.382, whereas, Weiss, I mean, it's just a 2-minute point two as we see them go really wide there, just trying to push the car as fast as they can. But, Swingley going through and losing all that momentum. I mean, I believe that was Ticky the Wicker Beast that was actually up ahead in the number 20 BMW. Just manages to go a little bit too wide, coming to the exit of left field, and ends up spinning out. So they're going to try and get one more lap in, or hopefully an improvement, as we continue to look at Weiss now. Weiss setting an improvement right now, up 3/10. Coming, I believe, into, this is going to be Aintree, I believe, and then now on the Wellington Straight. Just needs to keep the momentum going, just needs to keep it steady going into Brooklands and Luffield, but he would need a massive improvement in this corner, which he almost gets up to 7/10, but can he keep the momentum going through? He's a little wide, just trying to hold it there, going through Luffield and Woodcott. It's definitely going to be improvement. I think it's going to be in the 159s, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Indeed not. A 159.672, and I believe that is Weiss's qualifying done. Oily Rags still up there, down a 10th. No improvements for anyone right now across the board, but this is where it matters the most. Got to make sure you get whatever you have left out there, and it'll get you a better starting position once we grid up after this, but it's not looking good for Oily Rags right now.
No, not at all. Not a lot of time to improve.
Anyways, Camiers fans are probably hyping right now because their man is on provisional pole. If nobody in this grid can beat him, unfortunately, I'm not sure if Oily has the lap time to beat Camiers. Yes, Oily is the last one out. Can anyone beat Camiers? And it's a resounding no. That is Camiers on pole position. So Camiers fans, you can be happy about that. That's for sure.
Yeah, as we have right now, qualifying just finished, and wow, that was quite the finish for it. We're gonna go over our what the results are for qualifying here. I mean, as we can see from the pros, you take a look here. I mean, we have RK leading the pros right now with a 2:16.2, followed by Simon Luck in second with a 2:16.4, and then Denak rounding out the top three there with a 2:16.8. We come up to our silver drivers now in the GT4 class. We have Arez setting that impressive time in the Ginetta G55, that nice blue Ginetta that Arez drives at the 2:10.4. And then Zizors in their Ridge Racer Mercedes team car with a 2:10.64. And then Blade Wolf rounding out the top three there with their nice AMR V8 Vantage GT4 with a 2:10.885. And then, of course, Camiers fans rejoice. GT3 leading right now in pole position is Camiers in that Lamborghini Huracan GT3 with an impressive 1:59.382, followed by Weiss coming up pretty close with their BMW M4, the nice red BMW around the circuit with a 159.6. And rounding out your top three there, Oily Rags in the AMR V8 Vantage GT3 with a 2-minute .397.
Yep, that was a brilliant qualifying for all our three classes. Now let's see how they will come out in the multi-class madness. That is the race that will be coming underway just shortly.
Oh, Plasma, that was pretty impressive. What do you think the just cameras had that Lamborghini dialed in at the last moment there?
I think so. You have to imagine. I mean, even then, looking at the sector times, so you saw as they popped up there, camera's still missing about 4/10 of the BMW. So it'll be or just in that final sector. So I think there's an improvement for cameras still. They would probably be able to say that, but they looked pretty happy with that lap pulling over and kind of just letting it go from there. Um, yeah, it'll be really, really interesting to see coming into the race. We've seen so many times though coming through here that it's not really much about pace, especially when coming through that M2 grid. The first couple of times, because of the fact that it's so tightly packed, it proves such a massive challenge for our GT3 drivers. I think it is. It's going to lead to a really interesting race here, regardless of the pace that Cameras was able to show.
What do you think? Do you think Suzuka, we're gonna get any runaways in this one? I mean, the times look pretty close all across the board between the classes, so I'm hard pressed to see if anybody's just gonna walk away with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Silverstone, a great track for racing. So even though the gaps were quite some margin, I believe there will still be some brilliant racing, especially between Camirs and who was second. That was Weiss. Yes, that was Weiss. So Camirs versus Weiss. And yeah, the silver leads versus, and then yeah, the pro lead. So interesting battles throughout. Usual business as per in the multi-class madness.
All right, now we're gonna go ahead and get our grid walk going. Plasma, let's lead us off. We're gonna start off with our M class.
Yeah, of course, Scammers, we saw put a very, very impressive lap in with that number 97 Lamborghini. They were unable to be beaten by Weiss in that 366, but they will be lining up alongside them in that front row. They're going to be taking the grid away and likely leading to that M2 pack. We're going to jump into that third row with Oily Rags, the number 83. Tog Heuer branded, I believe is, I think, the right way to call that. Aston Martin is going to be taking that inside lane on the second row. Electroshock's going to be lining up alongside them in the number 75, very bright car. Our imposter Mercedes, Viper Mercedes, is going to be lined up in the inside of row 3, followed alongside by Swingley on the outside. We saw Swingley putting together some good laps, so likely to be a hard charger throughout this race. And behind them is going to be the next Porsche of Snowdog, the 919, very bright Maniti colored livery. They're going to be lined up alongside by the 870 of Derg. And then jumping back to row 10, JPEG Fox will be taking the inside lane in that number 12, followed alongside by the 529 of Windows Explorer, Wolfen, and the bright American machine, the only Mercedes Mustang on the grid. And then following up the back of the grid, it will be Tiki the Wicker Beast in that bright purple. Very, very appreciative of a little bit of purple representation on the grid. But they'll be closing out the GT3 grid along with Oraz in the 406. Actually, Oraz sneaking into the GT3 grid because that's Classy Fennekin is sitting in the V12 Aston in the back of the GT3 grid. Zizor is going to be following up in P2. Will be feeling a little out of place as they're going to be lined up a row behind in P2. They're going to be sharing that row with Blade Wolf Kagekyo in the Aston Martin, the 142, in a respectable P3. Behind them, it's going to be Sauce Dragon, the number 73. We've seen the RRP cars be quite strong, so this might be another car to watch. They're going to be lined up alongside S-Spirit in the Maserati, which throws me off every time I see it. The 777, and first off, already a bold car to be driving with, but a bold livery as well. They'll be following alongside with Leparcho as well in the outside lane. Skylar Vixen, the 660, is going to be driving the Camaro inside of a row row 10. They're going to be followed alongside by Cohen, who's in P20, and the other Maserati, and the final GT4 spot. Then we jump back to Arcade, the number 25, taking pole position. We saw proving quite respectable with their pace, and as usual, putting on quite a good show. They're going to be lined up alongside with Simon Luck, who we've seen always be a regular challenge at the front of these grids. So going to be very, very close race up front there, especially on a track like this. You imagine draft is going to play a big part. Denak is going to be looking to improve behind them. He's going to be filling out that third spot, sharing the second row of the M2s with Azure Goat, who's going to be representing that RRP or RRP team leader, you could say, as they fill out each of the classes. The number 20 or the number 69 of Wushel going to be filling out position 25, and there's looking to start on a good run. Probably the most poised to get a improvement off of any incident, sitting in that third row. They'll be sharing the third row with Christian Clippert, the 236 with the TRD livery. Then we roll back to the 272 of Newt, who's going to be filling out the inside of row 14, sharing that with Vic, who is going to be filling out with, well, the purple snail car.
S-Cargo.
All the ways, yeah, S-Cargo. That filling out the front of the grid was normally Simon. Vossi is going to be filling out P29, the number 15, and is going to be sharing that row, the 666 of Randomy. And then we're going to transition back to the final row of Saber Kitsune, who is in that 524, missing a little bit of pace, and it looks like they're the last in the grid, as it did set a qualifying time, but doesn't look like that they are on grid in time. So yes, they will be starting from the pit lane. I see another car back there. I'm unsure who that was. That didn't look like our safety car.
No, I'm not sure. And Fennekin has also been put into the pits as well. So looks like it's just Saber that's going to be lining up at the back there.
Absolutely. So Saber's starting last, and Camir's leading the pack. I believe that Dipping and Fennekin are probably going to wait out the field because, of course, this is multi-class madness. Let's not forget. So let's expect some mayhem down at Cops.
I mean, I'm going to hope for everyone's sake here that we at least get the start at least decent. I mean, I know that, you know, we like seeing the madness here, but I know it can be frustrating for the drivers that are on the grid. I know Denek is going to be personally upset with me if they're involved in something in this one. So I'm gonna just hope everyone gets through it. Everyone just take it easy and go through. And I know every one of you are gonna pound on that accelerator. So yeah.
I know this is multi-class madness, but guys, please pipe down. No heroics into Cops. I don't think they'll hear me, but it's worth a shot.
we can see this is Oiler Rags here as we get our timing tower down up. We can see, so they're coming around. They're getting ready. They're gonna grid up 2 by 2 here, and so here we go. They're gonna get started coming around Woodcott right now, getting ready for the green flag to drop here at Silverstone for the Simufur Multi-Class Madness Championship. They're getting ready as they come around Woodcott. Coming close to the start finish straight, and we're just waiting waiting ever so much, anticipating. There's the start finish line, and we await here for the green flag to drop. And we are away. There's the green flag. We are heading into turn 1. There's cameras right there. About there. It's like Weeks and Electroshock behind. They're also battling, going through that. We got Oily Rags, I think, just dropped a position down there from Zephyr, as I believe there's a couple of little bits of contact, and all the backfields filing in now as we get them coming through right now. I believe that is Zezors and Sauce Dragon kind of battling it out and make sure they don't make contact with RS. Looking back down further in the order, I think that's a group with Denek, RK, and Azure all getting into the mix. As you could just take a look at that entire pack, there are all the pros just all congregating together. And I believe Leparcho, there was an incident with Leparcho there. He has now fallen further down in the order, as I believe now everyone has gotten away. So aside from what I think was a minor incident with Leparcho, everyone has made it through rather unscathed.
Absolutely, the pros punching up already. As I said, these M2s really competitive. These are equal machinery, so... Oh, there's you down the inside. No, not yet, but these pros already getting their battle faces on. And
there's Christian. Simon went wide there. Christian gets the pass done, makes another move. That's going to move Christian, and I believe in third in class right now at the start of the race. You can just see it's intense, as you saw on the back of your picture there. That was Leparcho. Now, we're going to move up right now. Oily Rags being challenged by Swingley right now. There's another close pack. We're going into Am. As we can see, if we look more even further back, there's a pack with Snowdog, Swingley, Derg, and JPEG Fox all kind of in a nice little train, but Cameras right now up 5/10, taking that lead even further. So we'll see if there's any moves to be made up front too.
Yeah, quite the challenge for several of our drivers too. Of course, we talked about the tire temperatures for our GT4s. Of course, the M2s need to warm up those tires as well. And our GT3 is trying to roll through here as we look at the chase down in the Cops. That's going to be Weiss being hounded by electroshocks, and the BMW looking quite strong in the aero-centric corners of Cops as we roll through Maggots and Beckett's. This battle for P2. Certainly, we saw the pace between these two cars in qualifying looked quite similar. So, looking like Electrosock's a little bit more comfortable with that full feel in that Porsche. Looking to really chase down the BMW of Weiss, but Newt, then 272 now looking to put that challenge up to Wuschel as we look at the M2 start to run through Maggots and Beckett's. Is a very, very dangerous section of track if you try to go side by side. Looks like Newt has decided to back out and give it a little bit of time. These M2s we've talked about also being very, very draft-centric. They can prove to be quite forgiving if you just back out, let the car kind of roll through a little bit more. But I think Newt may have backed out a little bit too much because Randomie is really pulling up onto the rear of them and could be looking for a move as you roll towards Stowe. But I think just a little bit too far back as our M2 drivers settle down for another technical sector rolling into this slow speed Vale chicane.
Absolutely, and as you saw in the background, Parcho trying to make up ground for that incident at the opening lap. He now has to navigate through these battling M2s, and oh, that's a bit slippery, but yep, it's going to be a big task for the number 47 Take Gang KTM car.
Yeah, I'm looking at the order now here. Everyone's pretty much steady on. I think our major improvements right now, as we go back and take a look at the battle between Randomie and Newt, right now I think the biggest gainer is Azure and Randomie, both with 4 positions gained off of the start. Randomie starting, I believe, 34th, now managed to, not 34th, I believe they managed to start 30th and now are up to 26th. Azure started 24th and now up to 20th. Another big mover was Electroshocks getting up there as Oily Rags actually lost 2 position. Electroshocks now in 3rd. So, I mean, there's improvements. And as I say that, it looks like Christian and Denek are battling right behind as they make contact coming through Lovefield going into Woodcott. And as I was saying, Christian now up 5 positions as Christian manages to get the better move on Denek. Wow, that was impressive. Almost manages to do an accident. We're going to take a look at that pass one more time. That was incredible stuff.
Absolutely. Christian Clifford going, I think Clifford sent it, was it? Coming into, I believe, round the outside of Brooklands. It's a bit argy-bargy coming into Lovefield, but yeah, no harm, no foul, just some hard rubbing is racing. It's just some hard and fair racing, I guess.
Yeah, M2s are always prone to a little bit of some door banging, and of course we love that for what they're able to produce. A little bit of contact never hurt anyone, but we're seeing Durg start to really hound the back end of Swingley. The 870 really looking for an opportunity to see taking alternate lines. You'd say it's the Gran Turismo movie, as they're just taking a different line than everyone else, but oh, it is out of necessity. Oh my goodness, words are hard today. It is out of necessity, but they're rolling through, looking to try to get a better exit. And it looks like they were able to close things up a little bit, but not enough for a battle. But the number 7 going a little bit deep there, our Viper Mustang rolling through Luffield, but really being hounded by that Tog Heuer Aston Martin, trying to find a gap through Oily, definitely looking like they're more comfortable with a very good exit, and having to actually back out as they closed up on Zephyr a little bit too quickly. You see that number 7 start to pull away just a touch. But rolling through Cops, it looks like Oily really is looking poised to take this position from our Viper Mustang up ahead. Rolling through Maggots, and Maggots isn't the section they'd be fighting for. Hangar Straight will have to be their next opportunity here.
As you can see, I mean, it looked like Zephyr went really deep in there, and getting Snowdog right behind. As you can see in the rearview mirror, you can just see that the battles are everywhere here today. I mean, take a look coming out. I believe this is the Hangar Straight off Maggots and Beckett's. I mean, it's just everyone's looking for a move. There's racing going on all over the place here, and I'm absolutely loving it. You can see Snowdog hounding the back of Oily Rags as Oily Rags is trying to put the pressure on Zephyr, and now it's just a chess game of when do you make your move.
Absolutely, and Snowdog really aggressive in that Brello Porsche, but oh, that is Zephyr going wide. That might open the door for Oily Rags, but Snowdog as well. Oily just right under the slipstream. Will he make the send out, Abby? I believe that Snow almost. Snowy was looking into a send, but not quite.
And they lost a lot of time, and right now Snowdog is pressured by Swingley. As Swingley tries a move on the outside of Snowdog, that's not going to pass. Can't make it stick, so that's going to allow Oily Rags to relieve a little bit of the pressure. And yeah, coming into that straight in Cops, I mean, Oily Rags lost a ton of time, had to lift quite a lot, and I think they were just defending from Snowdog, and now Snowdog had to snow up. Now Swingley is joined in on the fun, and that's all it takes right now. It takes one lift, and then you got 3 cars behind you that want your position.
Yeah, we roll through here, and Swingley's looking for some kind of opportunity coming into this battle, and it looks like they're actually able to get quite a good exit here, but the GT3 is starting to look a little bit like M2s with how close this pack is staying, and they're glued to each other's front and rear bumpers. Swingley looking for an opportunity possibly around the outside of Cops. I don't think the move is there, and they're having to back out a little bit as Snowdog's able to hold on to that position, but a brave move from Swingley, who's also looking like they're poised to carry that pace through to the front of the field. It's certainly going to be quite the challenge. I mean, this deep in the pack, you get draft and dirty air being thrown around. It really makes a challenge for the drivers behind, but Swingley definitely looking like they have the ability to get that car further up the pack and trying to do it soon.
Yeah, and as we say that, Christian right now on the back of Azure Goat. This is for second place in class for the pro drivers. Christian has been on a hard charge. Meanwhile, we had Denac where they made that minor contact for the pass. Now Christian right behind Azure. Azure trying to defend it. This is for P2 in their class. Christian just really charging up the ladder here. It's quite impressive.
Absolutely, Christian Clifford, a man on a mission. He's already picked up Denac. What can he do with Azure Goat in that RRP BMW?
Oh, meanwhile, there's an incident with Swingling Zephyr, and I believe Snowdog. Snowdog's in the tarmac outside of the course into the grass. Zephyr also had to slow. I think that might have started with Oily Rags as well, as Oily Rags had to slow quite a bit. And now that's allowed Electroshock up ahead in third to get, I believe, 6 seconds ahead. We're going to go back and take a look at that, as that was quite a big incident, I think, involving all of those drivers.
Absolutely, that high-speed corner would definitely catch people out as we look into the replay. Yep, I believe my hypothesis would be right. It was in Abbey, the high-speed corner. You do not want to be touching there. It's Zephyr that goes wide into. It's Zephyr that goes wide into Snowy. Unfortunately, catching them out as Durg capitalizes from that as well in the background.
Oh, something happened to Cameras, I believe. I saw a yellow flag pop up slightly, and I think they lost some time, I believe a second. I think it's because they're starting to come into traffic, and so I believe this is lap 5. On lap 5, we're already passing traffic here.
Here we go. Here comes the
Something's happened to Durg.
Multi-class madness. Oh no, that is Durg.
I think Durg went off.
That is Maggots and Beckett's, I believe.
We're going to go ahead and take a look at that real quick. I believe they just went off on Maggots and Beckett's, I think. Let's take a look. No, I think... No, this is... Oh, yeah, that is Maggots and Beckett's.
The Paliku'i are just taking too much curb, unfortunately. But good thing is, Durg is back on track and hopefully keeping that trying to conserve good momentum as we see the multi-class madness continue. As I believe this is Fennekin versus Randomly. I'm not sure if this is for position or if this is a lapping GT3.
No, this is for position, but not in class. Fennec is in a GT3 car, and Randomy is just trying to hang on and not get run off track. Wow, that was quite impressive. As Fennec goes on the inside there, up ahead, next to Werschel, almost runs Werschel off of the road. And Fennec, she's just trying to get past the traffic, but just can't manage it.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking like it's a hard time in that as they are in GT3, but they're trying their best. There's no shame in trying, but...
Meanwhile, I mean, directly ahead of Fennekin, we got Werschel and Newt also battling for... This is for position in their class at the moment. So, your Werschel right now battling Newt. Newt's in 6th place, and Newt is trying to catch up to Simon Luck, which is right up ahead. So, it's just trying to make sure that everyone is getting through, and you can see Werschel's putting the pressure on.
Absolutely, Werschel, who took a look down the inside of Club. That was a close one, but Newt's gone wide. That might open the door for Werschel. The Shark Racing BMW against the Blue Shark E-Racing. The sharkiest cars on the grid, side to side, in down the Hamilton Straight. As they come into Abbey, I believe that's Newt with the outside line. Take it into, oh, that's a touch! They touch, but how do they keep it on track? That is some impressive racing between these two.
Yeah, and they're going to keep the battle going. This is absolutely insane. Werschel trying to go on the outside, going wide there, but holding the inside line, is going to have the inside to the next corner coming through. The Werschel's just going to have to keep it hang tight right there. Newt side by side, and Randomy can just look on trying to make a move, and Randomy is going to do so. Randomy's going to stay on the left side of Newt coming into, I believe that's going to be Brooklyn's. This is going to be another high-speed corner. Newt can't really go anywhere, has to stay there. And as we look back, now Werschel makes the move. Newt right back with Randomy. Randomy comes forward and does take the place. So Newt, unfortunately, the recipient of being passed by two of the cars just on a bad line there, and just how tight it is, they're going to continue battling on. Wow, amazing stuff. I mean, Plaza, you see multi-class, but this close everywhere? I mean, this is impressive.
Yeah, like I said, the GT3 is trying to imitate the M2s with how close the gaps are. And we see Swingley with quite a bit of pace. So it was a little bit fortunate to see the number 7 and who is it else? Snowdog go off track. So now this battle's kind of sunk down to 2 drivers, but Oily Rags definitely has their work cut out for them as this gap is stayed just as close as before. And it actually looks like Oily might have not had the best exit rolling through as we run down to Magus Beckett. Swingley looking to take a look inside, but not able to get anything working. Again, a very, very tricky section of track to try to send a move. But Oily Rags with that wide entry might not be able to get the car with the best run down the main straight. As it looks like number 7's had another incident rolling through. It looked like they were quite slow and some damage to the rear end of that Viper Mercedes. So
I was also about to say,
curious what could have happened to them.
I was also about to say there was probably something happening between Azure and Christian Clipper. Let's see the replay if that is either Zephyr. That is the replay of Zephyr coming out of I believe that is Cops into Magus and Beckett. I think Zephyr, Zephyr's just gone too wide down into Maggots. Spun the car in Beckett's. Nice save. Gets it back on the racetrack, and no harm, no foul.
Meanwhile, we have a fight that's coming through. Swingley's going through, trying to pass Oily Rags here, but Oily Rags manages to get through at the same time as you saw behind there. I believe that was, I think that was Saber Kitsune, and I believe Dip that was behind as well. So, as you can see, just some chaos coming through there, and Oily Rags making the better of it, almost losing the position to Swingley. But saying to Swingley, nope, you're going to have to try again. You're going to have to do better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you saw, Oily on the grass for a brief moment. This is just really intense racing here. They are stretching the bounds of the track limits. As you see, Zezor's right behind that Mercedes, charging against that little Janetta with its nimble cornering, but not so much when it comes to top speed. But Auraz, excuse me, Auraz holding on quite perfectly in that Janetta against the two big Mercedes.
Yeah,
the RRP Mercedes hounding behind him.
Yeah, then meanwhile, I believe right back there, as we can see, I mean, it's Auraz just trying to make that Janetta go as quick as they can, and they're trying to fight. Meanwhile, we're going to go back to JPEG. He's catching up to Derg right now. I think something actually happened as I believe Derg was coming up close, and then JPEG pulled back as I'm seeing that there was a slowdown when they were very close. Then we got Fennekin right now losing more positions, caught up in traffic, just trying to make their way through the pack again. I believe they were involved in an earlier incident. I think they spun off of, I think it was either Maggots and Beckett's, and they were trying to make their way through the pack. And now they're down to where the M2 Pros are for position. Meanwhile, we go further down the order. We see Christian right now battling with Newt. That battling continuing as I believe Christian lost the position to Newt earlier, as Christian was battling Azure, but now is down to 4th place.
Absolutely. As I think that was down to an incident. I saw these 2 hazard symbols on the radar. That was probably Christian and Azure having a coming together, and that's dropped. That for sure has dropped Christian Clifford back down the order. He has to do this all over again.
I mean, Christian, as you can see, just all over the back of Newt, and right behind them is, I believe that is, what's that?
That's the not.
That is the not Viper Viper. We got a couple imposters. We see the not Viper and the not TRD BMW.
Viper Sadies, as we might go with it. I don't know what you could put into the
so is
M2,
this
though. There's nothing transfers over there.
So what we're seeing with Christian, is that the Toyota MW?
I mean, we do have the Mark V Supra.
So it's just a Supra then.
Yeah. You're seeing the new Supra here on ACC. Oh, that is Zezor's deep in the grass, trying to find every inch of the track just to get past Auraz, but Auraz defending valiantly with that little Janetta.
And so now that we're reaching around 40 minutes, the pit window is going to open. Reminder of the rules: all drivers must pit once in this race. So they're going to be pitting soon. The pit strategy is going to come into play. We'll see if any of them are going to try an under or an overcut. And meanwhile, we're going to go back down. We see Simon Luck here right now with Denek. Why is that Viper always appearing whenever I switch the camera?
Oh, that Viper almost running into Denek.
Almost running into Denek. But yes, I mean, of course, the number 7 of Zephyr getting a lot of screen time today as we, go into another battle. And that's going to be unfortunate because Simon Luck was less than half a second away from Denek. And just that one move alone lets Denek go up by a second, and Whoosh will drop in by half a second. So the traffic giveth and traffic taken away here, and we see Zezors and Auraz now going side by side for the lead.
Down back into seconds. I think Zezors thinks better of it, bails out, and just continues to race.
Yeah, and that's going to allow Sauce Dragon to come up, although them both being part of the Ridge Racer project team, I think they're going to try and make this the best they can and try and teamwork their way past Ares. I mean, Ares has been up front in this class since the beginning. As
that is a
Caesar absolutely sends it and makes contact with Ares, and Ares
3 wide.
And Ares actually manages to fall with Sauce Dragon right on the outside, and Zezors takes the lead of the silver class for the moment being. That was quite a dive, Plasma.
Yeah, quite a send from Zezors. It actually worked out quite well, as it looks like it's going to be pressure from behind from Sauce Dragon. This Mercedes very strong on the straightaways. You saw how much they were able to close up on the Ginetta from behind, but it looks like they might be trying to look for another dive going into the village section here, or into farm, then into village, rolling through. It looks like a little bit of a defensive line coming from Ares that's going to really compromise them on the straightaway here. We saw that Ginetta get eaten up on the straight before. It might come true again, but it looks like a good enough exit for Ares to be able to stay just far enough ahead. But there's a lot of straights on this track that really put that Ginetta at quite the disadvantage, but we're hard on the brakes, rolling through the inside here, but nowhere to really overtake. This is really the area as well where the Ginetta strives and it really excels to try to drive the car out of the corner. A lot of wiggling and movement on the rear end for that Mercedes as well, rolling through the Luffield section. So we come back to Wushel, who's starting to put pressure on to Simon a little bit more than before, as that gap's starting to close up just a tiny bit. And this is the battle for our overall podium, our M2 podium, which is currently looking at 3 cars covered by just over a second from what I can see, about a second and a half, with Randomede there in the background occupying P5, but Wushel pushing that pressure right onto the rear bumper of Simon and just waiting for any opportunity to go through.
And meanwhile, as an update, we've already had a few drivers head into the pits as they're trying to serve their stops. Snowdog, Zephyr, and Durg over in the AM class have made their pits. Classy Fennekin as well, also pitting. And further on the back, Dip, Vossi, and Christian Clipper are trying to get the undercut here as they also pit really early. As we see, I mean, we're looking at Wushel making a move on Simon Luck here. And Wushel trying to go on the inside here on Luffield, going to Woodcut. Just got to make sure they hold it. And it's going to barely, however, they're still side by side coming into the start-finish line here, coming past Woodcut. And, of course, we've seen this before. We have Wushel, Simon Luck, and Randomly all together, all fighting for a podium position.
Absolutely brilliant racing. Wushel hanging around the outside of Brooklyn, coming to the inside of Luffield. Gets that move done beautifully.
Wow, this just manages to hold on, but it's not over yet. They are fighting tooth and nail here as we take a look. I mean, Randomly right now the furthest back, but probably the best to take advantage of. I mean, as we saw earlier, it just takes one bad move from, as we saw with Oily Rags, you just drop a couple of positions. So you just got to hope that you can stay in there and stay in the fight as long as you can. As we actually see a move further up the order, Sauce Dragon going past Ares, and just makes the move. That's going to be P2 in their class. So good on Sauce Dragon making the move. I believe that is from Woodcott, and that's going to put them up. I think Ares isn't long for pitting now, as I also see Blade Wolf right behind going pits. Going back now to the fight in the M2 class again. Randomly and Simon Luck now further back. Randomly looks like gets really good momentum coming out of that corner. Actually manages to hit the inside, going into, I believe that was through club to the to straight, but has to lift. Can't really keep the momentum going, and then they're going to end up back behind Simon.
Absolutely, as I was about to say, this would mean a RRP 1-2 in the GT4 class. As you saw Blade Wolf in the background coming to pits, these pit stops will have to be done. I think about now for most of our drivers, it's 35 minutes of racing left, which is well within the pit window and probably well within a good undercut.
Yeah, but right now, there's no doubt, Cameron is an impressive 2 seconds ahead of Weiss right now with the overall lead. Cameras fans, they ought to rejoice. So far, so good, and it's looking strong right now as we head into the pit window. It's just going to be, can they get their stop? Can they hit their marks? And can they get back onto the circuit without incidents? We see held up by a little bit of traffic there. I think that is that's the Ridge Racer Project car of, I believe that is Zizors there. So leader upon leader as they pass each other. As we go back to Araz right now, right behind him. And as you can see, there's Weiss right there in front, but the battle here between Araz and Sauce Dragon, I mean, the Ridge Racer Project cars, those Mercedes are looking real strong in the GT4 class.
Absolutely, the Ginetta with the nimbleness and the lightness to have ace qualifying, but come the race, the Mercedes with that top speed, able to chase the Ginetta and possibly defend with that top speed. Just even with the slipstream, Aras tries to get close, but it's not quite, unfortunately.
You know, I'm probably tempting fate with this, but I might as well ask Plasma, given what we've seen so far, I mean, I haven't seen as much incidents as we're used to. Right now, the racing really side by side, a little argy-bargy, but it's been kept clean.
Yeah, I think that also goes on to the fact that it is a very, very big track here. I mean, over 2-minute lap times for most of our cars here. It tends to spread out quite a bit. I mean, Indianapolis, it was a very wide track for the majority of it, but it was a very, very quick track for many of our drivers. One of the shortest laps in ACC. So it was I think that really is the big part, is in Indianapolis, everyone kind of was trying to occupy the same spot on the track, even though it was a wide track. Silverstone, we're really seeing things spread out. I mean, we have pretty much twice the space to work with as what we had before. So I think that's really where most of this is coming from.
Yeah, and as we take a look, Zizors has pitted, so probably trying to get more time with fresher tires. Heading into the pits, are still sitting in there for quite a bit. Trying to wonder what exactly is it. I'm seeing average times coming out for the actual pit cycle to be around 45 seconds. As I think that was Wolfen just letting sure Zizors is out. So actual pit time for Zizors was a 26.9. And then in and out was a 32.5, making about a 56-second stop, which is around average. So we shall see when Araz and Sauce Dragon pit if Zizors can make the best of it.
That was quite a sketchy situation, Wolfen, in that very powerful Mustang GT3 right behind the less powerful, but still very powerful Mercedes GT4 car. Hopefully they would have, they would have made that right, but unfortunately, looking at the timing, I don't think Wolfen served everything in the mandatory pit stop, but it could be a glitch, I'm not sure. But Aras losing a bit of ground, as they could see Oily round the outside, probably thinking better of it and conceding and just letting, that is, Aras coming in. This could be make or break for the Ginetta of Aras coming into the pit lane. Slam brakes perfectly at pit speed and just wait out on their pit stop. Speaking of, we see Wushel and Danak. What has happened? There are two, probably some contact. I don't know.
I think it might have been some minor contact. But going back into Wolfen right now, I do see that Wolfen picked up a stop-go 30-second penalty. So I believe might have been for speeding in the pits.
Oh no, that is not good news for Wolfen in the Bluey Mustang, but looking into the back, Danak looking into the inside there. Wushel and Danak. Wushel's jumped the curb. This might open the opportunity for Danak as Snowy goes round the outside of Simon. The three BMWs are all fighting for second. Let's not forget that with RK 17 seconds. That is quite a strong gap for the TCX lead.
We're gonna hop out in front. As you can see, there's Zizors, and right in the back, you saw briefly, that was Araz. So Zizors undercut looking like it's worked. As you can see, the Ginetta back there is down around 3.5 seconds. So Zizors getting the better of the pitch strategy here, as indeed it looks like RS had almost a full second longer in the pits.
I'm not sure.
The Caesars taking advantage where they can to really pull that car up front. And what we've seen, though, the pits play a really important part in a lot of our races. We've seen a lot of our drivers try to dive into those pits early, maybe get some clean air and get away from traffic. Speaking of traffic, it is the Viper Sadies stuck in the middle of the M2 pack here. Is that actually our M2 podium battle as well? So this is Denak starting to chase down Wushel, trying to look for a move through the front of the grid. I really don't see where it is because Wushel's going to be getting draft, but Denak thinks they see an opportunity. Not able to carry it through, so you're going to see Wushel carrying that momentum around the outside and getting a better drive out, you presume. Yeah, it looks like it would be about what is managed, but Denak really wanting to get past as quick as possible, knowing that they have better pace, but maybe we see a pit stop coming in here from one of these drivers, just trying to get out into clean air. Denak, I would say, is probably the most likely to commit to that with that pace difference onto Wushel and really just try to sneak into that podium battle.
Yeah, here we
Well,
go.
they may have an opportunity that's going to be held up by the Bluey Ferrari coming in. That's just the difference in traffic, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. Denak having a look on the inside there, coming in through from Farm Curve into Abbey, but I mean into Village, but not quite. And they're going to hit the loop now. Denak has to.
But Denak with a better exit. Oh, sliding, but I think having to slow down to not hit Wushel, but they're still side to side down. What straight is that again? That is the Wellington straight. The Tig Gang and the short racing car going into Brooklands. Denak with the inside light, but Wushel hanging it around the outside. This is close racing, almost touching. Coming into Wood. That was lucky.
Oh, and they do touch. Oh, it's a three-car foul. And that has Cameras. That is Cameras involved. That was Cameras, so the leader that was involved in that incident as well. And then Cameras has no choice but to pit in, and so does Weiss. That pretty much negates any advantage, and Cameras might have some damage there as Weiss managed to avoid it. Wow, that's unfortunate. Wushel and Denak also putting in after that incident. That pretty much involved both second and third place in our pro class, and then first and second. No, the first and second in pro class, and I think first and second in AM. That was quite an incident between all of them. Wow.
And just like that, the multi-class madness has kicked in. Let's see where this begun. It begun with Wushel and Denak fighting side to side down Brooklands, coming into Woodcut. Coming down into Lovefield, actually. It's, Denak put the tap into Wushel, and just JPEG with the domino field, and running into Cameras, unfortunately.
Yeah, now that's, I mean, Electroshock might have the greatest advantage here, as Weiss also had to pull in the pits, but I think Electroshock is too far to actually take advantage. I mean, Electroshock's going to be the last one, I believe, in the AM class to not pit. As you can see on your screen there, all the ones that have the green stripe next to the name have pitted. Anyone that has that one orange stripe there still has to pit, and so Electroshock's the last one in the AM class to pit, but we'll see what that means for the dynamic of this race moving forward. But it looks like Cameras did not take any repairs, as their pit stop was similar to Weiss's, and so Cameras so far may still be overall leader in this race. Looking at the current gap between Electroshocks, I think that is the case.
Yeah, as we roll through, I mean, Cameras is, that gap is certainly within range for Cameras to stay in front. We've seen that Lamborghini's had quite a bit of pace, so I think the real battle was with them and Weiss behind, and Weiss was, came into the pits with them, so I think that takes a lot of the mystery out of it. But, I mean, that being said, Electroshocks did benefit from Cameras having to slam on the brakes for that incident. Fortunately, I think Cameras did avoid any damage and was just able to sneak through. We would be quite close, But turning our attention to also the GT4 field on that sidebar there, you can see we're missing a couple drivers pitting there. About half of the GT4 field has yet to pit. looking at some really interesting battles developing there. Zizors and Oraz have pit. Blade Wolf is pit, who we saw were our net lead battles. But Sauce Dragon, who is up front and right at the sharp end of the field, has yet to pit, and I believe will be actually coming into the pits right now. So our GT4 leader will be coming out of the pits soon, and we'll see where their cycle out. I think they'll be sitting up in the front of the GT4 grid, but the rest of the GT4 drivers are going to be in a really interesting position to see where they come out in this GT4 battle, because they were offset quite a bit to Sauce Dragon.
So here's an interesting thing. It looks like Electroshock's just leaving the pits right now as we see Sauce Dragon coming in. Now this is what we were saying. Where's the leader coming in? And I believe there's Cammers right there.
Cammers.
So Cammers manages to hang on to the overall lead. Oh, but will Weiss lose out? It looks like Weiss might. Electroshocks and Weiss are side by side going into Maggots and Beckett's. You don't want to do that here, especially on cold tires.
Oh my goodness!
And Electroshock manages to get a position off of pitch strategy and some luck. Will Electroshocks hang on? What an amazing turn of events here. That incident early on managed to cost Weiss a position.
What a brave move from Electroshock. That watermelon-colored Porsche going down the inside of Beckett's. That was an absolute send. And that was a make or break for Electroshock's strategy, and that's probably paid off.
Well, we shall see. I mean, looking at it, Plasma, it's still really close. Still got to get those tires up to temperature, and Weiss has already had a couple of laps on them.
Yeah, Electroshock's really going to be struggling with the fact that those tires are going to be very low pressure, so they're missing out on a little bit of grip for a lap or two while they wait for them to get up to pressure. So really, while the job's been done to get in front, the job's not done to stay in front, because that Porsche is going to be struggling right now from the lack of tire temperature and tire pressure, as we see Electroshock going very wide, and that's going to let Weiss sneak through as Electroshock's able to sneak back in, but no, Weiss is able to take that apex and return to that P2 position. It's exactly what you're talking about, the low pressure of those tires. Doesn't want to accept the load as efficiently as Weiss would with those hot tires. Those temperatures are right in the correct range. So Electroshock's just kind of thrown off a little bit now and have to recover that position once they're able to get those fresher tires up to temperature.
Meanwhile, we're going to step back, take a look at Aras right now. Aras currently looks like overall P3 because Cohen and F-Spirit still have yet to pit. But now Blade Wolf actually managed to getting ahead of Aras. But as you can see, Aras all over the back of that Aston Martin, just trying to get by with that Ginetta. Pretty strong in the curves, but just has to lift and have to wait to find another straight as they come on through to Wellington.
Absolutely, the Ginetta trying to navigate all around, and I did notice this as well. I think Sosh did not have a good stop. Sosh right behind, Sosh somewhere behind Aras, as you saw Dirk unlap them down into Brooklands.
Yeah, no, it looks like they were... Looks like 3 additional seconds over. Might have taken some repairs, and Aras manages to sneak by from that, as now Sosh is down about 2.5 seconds. As we see Cohen pulling in now. Cohen is now pitting as we see Aras and the group there go by them. And so that's going to leave F-Spirit as the sole driver to pit.
Yep, right now that is... Yep, the Maserati, the only one has not yet pit. As you can see, Dirk conceding a little bit, thinking better of it, just thinking of getting the better exit at what I believe is, I think that's the hangar straight. Yep, coming hangar straight, coming into Stowe.
Oh, and unfortunately, I have news that it looks like Wolfen has retired from this race. Wolfen, after serving their 30-second stop-go penalty, got another 30-second stop-go penalty, and I think they've just called it.
Yeah, unfortunate day for the Blue E Mustang. It was looking good out there until pit stops got a bit messy. But looking out so far, Aura's touching the grass a bit. That unsettled the Ginetta as they are further behind Blade Wolf. This is not the position he wants to be in. He wants to be closer to the rear end of that Aston Martin.
Yeah, and taking a look now, we're going to go ahead. Now that we have a slight break in the action, we're going to go ahead back up as Weiss is now
pitting.
up. Cammers is in the pits. Cammers is pitting. I'm not sure if did they change tires, or I thought they did a full pit stop, but yes, Cameras is in the pits again, now losing the lead, Weiss inheriting the lead from that, and F-Spirit also just getting into the pits as they closed. What a turn of events here. Is now it's a battle for first between Weiss and Electroshocks. I wonder what happened.
There's no way, like, this Camber's pit for tires, that's for sure. The pit is green, so probably short on fuel. That's what I assume.
There's always the possibility of a penalty that came through as well, so I would have to imagine that there was some kind of maybe a stop go or
I'm not seeing any stop goes or a drive. Oh no, I see it here. Oh wait, no, I think they got a stop go penalty from this stop. I just saw a stop go penalty be issued to the number 97 of Cameras. Oh, that is unfortunate, as the leader is now dropped to close to last there. That is a gut-wrenching turn of events for Cameras. Has been strong all day.
As I said, Silverstone's pit entry really sketchy. Sometimes you might be coming in too fast, or your brakes just can't slow you down enough, and that warrants you the ever so dreaded stop and go penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, but now that means Weiss here just has to bring it home. And just keeping it in there, coming to the closing stages, less than 20 minutes now, reaching the 18-minute mark. They're getting down there, and of course, looking at how far Cameras has to make up, it's going to be quite a task for Cameras to now make their way up. They got Dirk, Zephyr, and Snowdog ahead, but that's going to be quite an ask.
Yep, that is a tall order. 5 seconds down on Dirk, down the inside of the other blue E-car. That is new, that is not Dirk. But Cameras with a tall order trying to get past Dirk, Zephyr, Snowdog, Twiggly. I'm not sure, but it's going to be an interesting battle to see if Cameras can make up some ground from that pit speed issue.
And Araz just keeping close as we've seen this entire time, but still unable to make the move on Blade Wolf. I wonder if Araz is just waiting for a better opportunity in order to do so.
I would say I think it's the Ginetta struggling in the straight line speed against the powerful Aston engine, but look at the corner of that Ginetta, absolutely getting close to the Aston in the corners, just not the straights, unfortunately.
Wow, what a turn of events here. I mean, we've had the delayed start from this morning, the practice server, and now just our leader just not being able to hit it through to the pits. I mean, that's what they say, Plasma. Anything can happen in racing, you know?
Yeah, especially in multi-class madness, that's for certain. You've seen all sorts of chaos coming through. I mean, it's not over till it's over. That's for certain. That's the main takeaway from everything. But we have another battle kind of starting to eke out here for that GT4 lead. Currently, it's Zizor is leading the pack, followed by Blade Wolf, Kakio, who's going to be chased down by Oraz and Sauce Dragon. So that P2 spot really
Oh, and Sauce Dragon looks like it's trying to make the move on the inside on the Ginetta, but looks like RS thinking better of it and trying to hold the outside, but they're going to lose momentum. Or hopefully RS can keep it straight, but we'll see if Sauce Dragon absolutely having the look on the inside there, going through Vale into Club, but not thinking better of it, trying to gain the momentum, possibly to do a switchback, but we'll just have to settle in behind RS as they come through to the Club down to the Hamilton straight. Now we'll see if they can go through Abbey and farm Curve. We'll see, because Sauce Dragon's probably closer than he's ever been at this point while being behind RS, other than the beginning of the race in which Sauce managed to get by him. So it's been done, although Sauce Dragon looks like thinking better of it, just making sure they're getting their momentum ready for the Wellington straight.
Absolutely, Sauce Dragon made up a lot of ground now, right behind the tail of RS, but RS just pulling away with the brilliant acceleration of that Ginetta, but lacking the top speed. That's where the Merc of Sauce will come in, but I'm not sure if Sauce came in too close, because RS just passing in M2, Sauce will have to do the same.
rolling through now in Luffield as well. We're going to be picking up, it looks like Wushel trying to indicate where they want to position their car and just lose the least amount of time possible, as it looks like up front there. Yeah, it looks like Oraz sneaking through, but deep on the brakes goes Saucedragon trying to find a way past. I believe that's Denak in front of Wushel. So battles impeding on other battles is what I'm seeing here coming through. But our GT4 podium is only getting tighter as time goes on. Saucedragon now closing that gap a little bit more. Oraz has closed the gap by about 3-4 tenths here so far. So looking to really start putting that pressure on in the final 14 minutes of this race. All around the track, I mean, you see every time that someone gets close, our numbers turn orange on the left side of that timing tower, or on the right side of that timing tower on the left side of your screen. So quite a few battles going on here. There's not really much escape for what is going on. Wushel starting to close that gap on Denak, who had a bad exit out of the Maggots Beckett's.
That's Stowe, actually.
Hammers, who is now closing onto the back of, I believe that's Derg in the Ferrari, rolling through the village hairpin, trying to get a run out, recover some points for their championship as we roll down towards Brooklands.
Yeah.
And that Lamborghini we've seen has been quite strong, so surely they'll make short work of this position battle, but very deep under the brakes. Berg's certainly not going to want to give this up. In the last 13 minutes, they're going to try to make this as difficult as possible to hold on to as many points as they can.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Looking at cameras, I mean, I've been in that position where just something doesn't go your way when everything seemed to, the stars were aligned for you. You just want to get your focus down and make every sort of effort you can to make up, as we see Dirt goes far on the outside. That's going to leave it open for Cameras. Cameras is going to go around and coming into Maggots and Beckett's. Are they going to go side by side? It looks like they are still. Oh, very close. Dirt just manages to pull off just a little bit, and Cameras makes the pass, moves up to P7.
That was an impressive move.
Oh, but heads up to the grass, and that's going to allow Dirt to come back on, and they're going to go side by side, going back into the hangar straight.
As I was saying, brave move of Cameras, but that was a mistake. That was really costly. Dirk coming around the outside of Stowe. Can he get the move done round the outside? Very brave for the Paliku'i Ferrari. Do me proud, Dirk. Come on, get down the inside of Club Chicane. They're still close, but Cameras hanging around the outside. Unfortunately, it is Cameras that will take advantage of this situation.
Yeah, and Cameras, of course, just deeper on the brakes there. That's so planted going into, especially Club there on the hard braking zones. And we could just clearly see Cameras just out-braking Dirk going into the corner, making that pass look almost easy there. It was quite incredible to see. I mean, you're taking a look back now. You know, we got to the GT4s now. Saucedragon right behind Blade Wolf. There's a gaggle of cars right behind in different classes. I believe that's JPEG Fox right behind.
JPEG
and
GT3.
so they're just trying to keep their races going and keep their races alive. Right now, it's bringing it home. And then, of course, right behind them, you have Denak and Werschel also fighting for, I believe that is P5. No, P6 in their class at the moment. And so speaking of positions, I mean, we haven't checked in. It's looking at the pros right now. We have RK leading right now with a decent 13-second margin between him and Simon Luck right now, and then Randomy in third. We go into the GT4 class now. If we got Zizors right now currently leading, followed by Blade Wolf and Saucedragon with that fight that we were seeing going on earlier. And of course, Oraz trying to recover as they were up there in the lead and now down to fourth. And then finally, as we have the AM, possibly the biggest surprise is Weiss currently leading, followed by Electroshock in second, and then Oily Rags in third. Cameras currently P7 started in the lead, just dropped down because of an unfortunate stop-go penalty that they had to serve.
Absolutely, but it's racing. Anything can happen, and Weiss happens to be the benefactor of all the things that are happening up in the GT3 class. And speaking of racing, speaking of the class leads, we have Zizors holding out and RK with a very, very comfortable lead. I think it was a 20-second gap between them and the nearest pro, which is Simon Luck. As you can see, Wheeze coming up behind the Blue E M2 of Newt. Newt, of course, letting it
Oh,
by.
I think something
They have
happened with
no power.
JPEG.
Oh, that's JPEG! I think that's Maggots and Beckett's.
I think so. I think they went off. Oh, and they're still trying to get back on track.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rejoin safely on that area. That's the good part. That's
Go
the
and
great
take a
thing
look
about
at that one.
Silverstone.
That's one of those unfortunate ones. We'll take a look at what happened. I think they were trying to go through traffic. Yeah, that's Maggots and Beckett's. That's through Maggots, going into Beckett's here. Oh, it just loses the car.
Yeah, the Porsche really snapping car. Just the rear end just snaps on him out of nowhere. It's an unfortunate case of Porsche instability. It's just sometimes catches you out by surprise.
And I think that was right at the limited grip. It just throws it back out, as I think Newt was involved in a minor incident. I think it might have been with some lap traffic, as there's JPEG, and there's, oh, that's Electroshock. I think Electroshock and Newt came together for a second there, just as they were trying to work their way through traffic. I'm actually curious. We'll take a look back and see what happened to both of them.
Alright, so we can see, yep, that is Electro right behind JPEG. Is this a lap down, or is this a lap down Porsche, or is this for position? I'm not sure.
I think that's JPEG, so that's a lap down portion. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh!
That's a big hit right there, but they managed to keep going.
Yeah, it was a bit sketchy. Turned in a bit too early. But I think Electro turned in a bit too early, but yeah, at least they came out of that unscathed. Just a few bruises, just a little flesh wound.
Yeah, of course, seeing the usual drama of the multi-class madness, though. So even when there's only two cars in the same area of the track, there's always a little bit of chaos that's coming through for our drivers here. But as we see our drivers starting to heat up a little bit more, Sauce Dragons now close the gap to Blade Wolf only about 2/10 now, 2-3 tenths covering the back end of these two cars. So rolling through onto the hangar straight again, we're going to be looking for a move possibly into Stowe. Blade Wolf's a little bit defensive on the straightaway, but Sauce Dragon's gone back to the preferred line, looking for maybe a move down to the Vale chicane, looking for a better run. Sauce Dragon might have it. Gap's closed at about 2/10. Blade Wolf defending hard to the inside as we roll through the Vale chicane into Club. Blade Wolf able to keep in front for right now. Sauce Dragon looking for a second cut back. Good run, but nowhere to go with it. As we roll through onto the Formula 1 main straight, the Hamilton straight, trying to go through Abbey. Next move probably going into Village as we go tiptoeing through the Abbey corner. Both cars setting up this next left-hander quite well. Blade Wolf a little bit wide, so not able to commit to it. Sauce Dragon looking for the outside, backing out, looking for the outside to the inside, which now becomes the outside once again as we roll through the final hairpin of this section. And it looks like Sauce able to get a little bit better of a run. It's going to really open things up in the Brooklands as the tight line for Blade. It's going to really bleed off a lot of speed now coming side by side. It's going to be the front nose in coming down towards Brooklands. Hard on the brakes. Sauce Dragon's a little bit early. Blade Wolf going for more of a dive, setting the car up now for Luffield, and Blade's able to fend off the attack for right now. But Sauce pulling right up to the rear wing, reminding them that there is no space here. And now what for a whole lap now, Blades had to spend it defending as Sauce Dragon's just looking for any kind of gap as Weist now comes storming through at the GT3, maybe open something up through into Cops. It looks like both drivers wide, but it looks like both drivers not able to get the run that they wanted. So once again, Sauce now going to have to settle down for the Maggots Beckett section and wait for an opportunity to come back to them.
Yeah, and meanwhile, just a quick update. Cameras actually managed to pull a move on Zephyr further up, as we can see all over the back. The Sauce Dragon is on Blade Wolf here, coming into the hangar straight. This is going to be the part where Sauce can get the draft, possibly look at the move. Looks like he's just hanging back a little bit, just trying to keep the pressure on. Azure probably no choice but to go defensive, as indeed we see Blade Wolf go defensive here, and Sauce is going to take the outside line, passing on the outside, getting side by side, making a little bit of contact. and they managed to hold it together. Blade Wolf still in front. Sosh looking on the inside there, coming into club, but no dice, says Blade Wolf. They're going to keep this going, keep the battle up with 5 minutes to go here at Silverstone. Sosh is running out of time, but I was just saying here as an update, Cameras managed to get by Zephyr earlier on here, so Cameras is now up to P6, getting ahead of Zephyr. So Cameras is still trying to make it up, but with 21 seconds to Snow Dog, that's going to be a very hard ask with 5 minutes. Now going back, Blade Wolf and Sauce Dragon, I mean, this is pretty much the big battle here, and that battle has allowed Araz to sneak on right behind. As we can see, oh, there are different lines, and Blade Wolf is putting that car exactly where it needs to be, stopping anyone from getting by. The Sauce Dragon being held up so far that now Araz is into this battle as well for P2 in class.
Absolutely, Blade Wolf, one of the most valiant defenders out there, and versus Sauce Dragon, trying to pierce through Blade Wolf's defense, but little to no avail at pass at the moment. Sauce is trying to find every single piece of tarmac available to try to get past that 142 Aston Martin GT4 car.
Yep, and as we now right on board with Araz, I mean, we can see right now, and right behind, as you can see in the mirrors, that's Electroshock that's coming on. So Electroshock's going to come onto the right side. That's going to be tricky coming into right here. It's going to be Cops. And now it's going to force, it looks like that's going to force both RS wide and Sauce Dragon nearly wide, as there's Oily Rags right now in another battle. This is two class battles. We see them going through Maggots and Beckett's, going too wide, coming across. That's going to unfortunately get Sauce Dragon a little bit further behind, as Oily Rags almost loses it, coming in through Beckett's, going into Chapel Curve, coming down the hangar straight, and now Oily Rags and Electroshock right up ahead. They're in a battle for position as we transition over to them. Oily Rags right behind Electroshock because of that traffic, and Oily Rags has made up quite an impressive 7-second deficit and is now barking on the door of Electroshock, trying to get by and just trying to make sure that he can make the move there. Oh, takes a look but doesn't quite set it up, and wow, how one class traffic leads into another battle. What a perfect example there.
Absolutely, this is a great definition, a better definition of multi-class madness. Not all the crashing and smashing, but the brilliant racing these guys are having. Oily Rags looking very aggressive in that Aston Martin, as you can see. Sauce Dragon and that Mercedes right behind on the tail of Blade Wolf in that Aston Martin, hanging around the outside. Can he get it done? Not yet. Oh, but it's close.
Oh.
Sauce Dragon on the inside, but over-under. I think Sauce is doing another over-under coming into the Wellington Straight, but Blade Wolf holding up just aggressively. Sauce Dragon right under the slipstream at that Aston Martin. Can he do anything coming into Brooklyn?
You can see they're trying to hold it there. Blade Wolf, I mean, way offline, as we can see. That was, I believe that was RK that just went off. Is that the leader? Or was that?
Yep, that was RK.
Oh, yeah.
Leader.
I think that RK is furthest enough. I think still a good 23 seconds away from their next one. But as you can see, I mean, you were looking at RS. RS got caught up in the traffic there and is still behind Sauce Dragon and Blade Wolf. As we come back, we are now less than 2 minutes away. They're going to have a couple more laps to go as we see Sauce Dragon still trying to hit the back of Blade Wolf. This battle has been going on for about 3 laps now with traffic. So will traffic allow Sauce Dragon to finally pass Blade Wolf for that second podium position there, or will things and the stars align for Blade Wolf, and will Blade Wolf walk away with this with a P2?
It's a close call, to be honest, because Sauce Dragon already all over the rear end. Sauce might have the outside line coming into Snow. Sauce Dragon around the outside, as I said, but oh, it's gonna be a close line. They touched 2 times,
and they're still side by side.
Side by side, they are still hanging on into the club chicane. That is Sauce on the inside, but oh my god, is this what I think is gonna happen? Oh no, it's not gonna happen. I was expecting a through goes RS moment, but honestly, Blade Wolf blocking off RS, and that's just given RRP a 1-2 in the GT4 class.
And Sauce Dragon with that incredible move there. I mean, just managed to stick there even with the contact, manages to keep the car on all four wheels going back there, and then tapping back here. We got Christian right now on the back of Azure Goat. Just these final battles coming in through here, and this is for, I believe, P5. No, this is for P4 in class, and so there's Christian, Werschel, Azure Goat, all on your screen there, and as we just see now, Weiss is now on the final lap of this race, and as you can see behind him, that's shoved off just a little bit. That's going to allow Werschel and Denak right behind. This is a four-way battle. They're going to tooth and nail. They're going to go 3 wide coming into, I believe that is 3 wide again, going into Village and the Loop, and just manages to stay there. It looks like Werschel and Denak made a little bit of contact. They're going to be side by side coming in down into Aintree, into the Wellington Straight. There's that. There's the number 7 of Zephyr that's coming in through, and they're still side by side. And so we have 2 battles right now. Werschel and Denak going for P6, and Christian and Azure going for P4. They're still going to hold each other off, and Werschel just barely manages to keep it forward, has to take the defensive line, and so Werschel's going to try and get through to Christian as they come in through their final lap here.
Yeah, we roll through into the final lap, and it's, I mean, as well as the battle for Christian up front, that's going to pull them back into this battle with Werschel and Denak. So effectively, it's going to be a 4-car battle no matter what as we roll through into this final lap for the M2s here. And that draft is really going to bring everyone back into play in this final lap, as it looks like Azure went wide going up front there, so that's going to give Christian a little bit of a run as we roll into Maggots and Beckett's, but now setting up the run onto the hangar straight for the final time, and there's a crash in the middle of the track. Zephyr's been hit hard by Werschel, and that's going to pull Werschel right out of this battle. Now Christian and Denak and Azure the only ones left. And now it looks like Werschel just limping the car as best they can, but that's going to be in all sorts of problems as we transfer up to the GT4 battle for the podium, or as just looking for some kind of move to get past here, as Bladewolf's been on the defense for so long. Weiss is going to finally come around to win the race in the BMW, but further back down the pack, we have quite a few drivers still trying to edge each other's out, and it looks like Oraz getting a run. Bladewolf deciding for that inside going into Brooklyn's as JPEG sneaks to the inside. It looks like, yes, Oraz just a little bit too far back to try to get a move going. Bladewolf just needs to hold the inside here. Just hold the car in, but a little bit wide. Oraz trying to get a run out, but no, unable to get the run. It looks like Bladewolf will edge them for the position coming into the final straight. So Bladewolf filling out that final podium spot in GT3. And then back in M2s, we have a battle still going on with Christian Clipper trying to get around the outside of Azure here. This is for P4 in the M2s, and able to hold the outside right now. That will turn and stay into the outside, heading into Brooklyn. So brave under the brakes you're going to need to be, as you're just going a little bit wide, but holding it tight now to the inside. Christian looking for some kind of opening here. As long as Azure can hold it tight, it looks like the position will be his for the taking as we roll out of Luffield for the final time. And it does look like Azure was able to sneak it by and keep in front. Zephyr being respectful of the battle and just finishing right behind the two. But right at the end, finish with a bang, they say, and certainly the M2s and GT4s did not disappoint.
Absolutely top class racing. I gotta say, you have to feel really bad for Werschel. She's done everything correctly. It was only that final lap where she unfortunately ran into the wreck of Zephyr down Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, but as we have the final drivers coming across the line here, I believe Kivik going to be the last one here, as they haven't had the best of races, but they're going to say they're able to finish here, as I believe Kivik will conclude matters here, crossing the start-finish line, coming around Luffield to Woodcott, and finally bringing that S-Cargo car home. What a race, guys. What a finish. Couple of inter-class battles interspersed with multi-class battles.
Absolutely, multi-class madness not disappointing us with that brilliant racing all over. It's just chaos wherever it needs to be as well.
And we're going to go ahead and take a look at our final results here today. I mean, wow, overall, I mean, just a lot cleaner than what I'm used to. But still, just providing some quite fun moments and quite scary moments and a surprise here today as we take a look, I mean, at our overall standings. Weiss, of course, taking the win today with his nice red BMW M4. Shock to say the least, but you'll take that in racing, and so you'll always take the points where you can. So we're going to start off with Pro, though, for our overall results. Suzuka, take it away.
Yeah, it was RK with an absolutely Verstappen level domination. 25 seconds ahead of P2, which is Simon Luck, 31. Behind and completing out the podium is Randomy in that 666 M2. Behind them is the Azure and Christian Clifford, as you saw. A very brilliant battle, that's for sure. And topping out P6 and 7, Denak Wushel thankfully did not lose any position in that wreck in Maggots. Behind them is the blue E-car of Mute and Saber Kitsune. And P10 is completing the top 10 is Dip. With the rest, it's Vic and Vossi completing out 11th and 12th.
Yeah, quite a good race overall. And going to our silver class, Plasma, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, we saw the battle going right to the end. Zezers was able to hang up front with that number 6 Mercedes. The RRP car is looking extremely dominant through the entirety of this championship. Sauce Dragon and the Mercedes was able to secure that P2, so a 1-2 for the RRP group as they roll through. Sauce Dragon only 3 seconds behind, but the battle was really kicking off behind them with P3 for Blade Wolf, who was able to finally secure that P3, which probably would have felt like forever with the amount of defending that they were doing throughout that race, whereas just missing out as well, but they were followed up by Skylar finishing out in P5, and Cohen, F-Spirit, and Leparcho, who all close out the end of the race at least one lap down.
And then finally, going into our pro class, I mean, Weiss, just an impressive drive, a little bit of luck, a little bit of good management of traffic, and a solid, consistent race overall for them, finishing overall and first in pro, followed by Electroshocks in second place. And then, of course, Oily Rags in third. Quite a battle going through there all the way until the end for them. Then, of course, you have Swingley in fourth place, followed by Snowdog in fifth, rounding out your top 5. And with the best lap of the race and qualified P1, an unfortunate set of circumstances, but Cameras finishing a respectable P6 after everything that's happened, taking that Lamborghini Huracan all the way to the end. And, of course, right behind was Zephyr in 7th place in their Mercedes AMG GT3, followed by Derg in their Bluey Ferrari 296 in 8th place. And JPEG Fox with some troubles there out on circuit, but still manages top 10 finish here, respectable in their Porsche 992 GT3. Then followed by Classy Fennekin in their AMR V12 Vantage in P10. And unfortunately, Wolfen on Windows Explorer Bluey in 11th place, unfortunately with a couple of penalties, and ended up retiring from the race. And then, of course, Tiki the Wicker Beast starting the grid, but not finishing, retiring after 8 laps, will round out your entire grid. What an incredible display of side-by-side racing for a lot of drivers here. But if you had to pick one, what would your driver of the day be, Plasma?
Oh, it's a hard pick, but I mean, there's quite a few people. I mean, we pulled pretty well to make the advantage of the opportunities that were given to them. We saw Swingley put some good battles on, even going down into the GT4. Sauce Dragon was very impressive as well. And both the RRP drivers, you could say, were quite strong. RK was, you'd have to say RK is probably the driver of the day, and the M2s, I mean, they drove away from the battle and quite a competitive grid too. I mean, we've seen all those gaps are sitting just a second or two, just a couple of seconds between each person, and RK was able to pull a 25-second gap to the car behind. So I'd have to tentatively say RK, knowing how competitive that grid is and how they were able to pull away from everyone. But outside of that, I mean, it's a really hard pick for anyone else.
Suzuka, who would you be your pick for today?
Well, I'd like to point out three different classes for sure. I would say for GT3, I'd say it's Whis who kept his nose clean, stayed out of trouble, and I mean, besides the little kerfuffle we had at Woodcut, but I think we just slow down carefully for that, and just we just did everything right. So that earns him my driver of the day for GT3. As for GT4, on the other hand, I would like to give it to Blade Wolf. Excellent defending when it matters. The fighting spirit of that Aston Martin, I swear to God. Meanwhile, in I think the TCX class, I did not mention it, but honestly, it has got to be Clippard. I mean, that guy was on a mission. He was climbing up, falling down, coming back up again. Christian Clippard with the man on a mission, getting those positions when it matters.
Yeah, no, then those are all respectable ones. I think for me overall, I have to go back and take a look at who actually gained the most positions out of anyone today. And we didn't have a lot of spotlight on this driver, but I would have to say arguably the hardest charger was Randomy. Randomy starting P30 and makes their way up to P20 at the end. Of course, with a few retirements, we take away about around four drivers, making up about 6 positions, but managing a respectable third place in their class and managing to keep it clean as well. I always love a good clean driver that manages to keep their nose in there, keep it nice and consistent, and make it to the end. And I think Randomy is a perfect example of that. Good on you for making up all of those positions, and for me, the hardest charger and driver of the day. Well, that'll do it for us here at Simufur, and that'll do it for the MCM Multi-Class Madness Championship broadcast of Round 3 here at Silverstone. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. It's been a blast, and of course, great racing as always, and we hope to see you next time. I've been Paliku'i Grant, joined alongside with Suzuka and Plasma. We hope to all see you guys again soon.
Bye bye.